All right, there we go. Let's get our Facebook folks in here. We can rock and roll. We're getting the wheels spinning here. And we're doing it. All right, we're live. Welcome in, welcome in. It is Monday morning, the 17th. We've made it halfway through March and free agency. The dust is really settling. A few little, spackling signings here and there to go. Maybe some trades, but it is really the lead up to the draft now. It's the visits going on. It's the final bits. It's the information. But I mean, it's kind of a long process between free agency dust settling and the draft at the end of April. We got 5-6 weeks still, but we're pretty much here. I'm excited. So, Eric, how you doing? How was your weekend?
It was good. Not as good as Derek Stingley's, but still very good.
Yeah.
Excited to be here. And as always, we had a good show Friday night and had a really good weekend. Got to spend some time with the family and everything. But it's back to business, back to work, back to talking Broncos.
Yeah, and how about that 2019 LSU Tigers team with all the money that they've gotten? I mean, Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, you got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, not T. Higgins on that team, but he got paid as well. And then now Derek Stingley. So 2019, Ed Orgeron could hardly understand him, but heck of a team out there in Baton Rouge. So that was could be argued one of the most talented offenses of all time, and then a superstar cornerback like Stingley as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing to see a guy who, you see markets reset all the time, but to reset it by 5 million is just a little bit more out there than you typically see. You typically only see like 2 to 3. And then good news for him, 89 of $90 million guaranteed.
Yeah, crazy.
And then he has a chance to hit the free agent market again in 3 years at 28 years old, I think, 27 or 28. Like, it's just all around an amazing deal for him. Congratulations to him on resetting the market. And I feel bad for any team out there that now has a cornerback coming up on an extension. And so glad that Denver doesn't have to worry about Patrick Surtain for at least about 2 more years.
Yeah, I mean, is he going to sit out now? Hold out? I mean, after this it's crazy. But you got, freaking J.C. Horn reset the market this offseason. So good on the Broncos getting ahead on everything. And all these moves happening right now. We do want to say hello to people in the chat as you guys are trickling. If you got any super chats or anything, God bless you. We'll be for sure to get to you then. But want to say hello to everybody coming in on this Monday morning. We got Crazy Fireman. Really think we might move up in the draft this year for our running back. They might, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the first round. Crazy Fireman. Broncos got the ability to kind of move around, and easier to move up day 2 than it is round 1. But we'll see. It's a lot's going to depend on a lot of different things. Got our guy David Youngkin coming in here. Morning, everyone. I'm dealing with some health problems. Gosh, David, I hope you're doing well. Yeah. No fun on that front. You're doing well. Mike Thompson says moving up for a position the only last couple of seasons is insanity. I'm fine with it because Denver's in a window to attack right now, but I'm not fine with it round 1, unless it's like you're moving up from 20 to 18 and you're giving up a, 4th round pick and getting back a 7th or something. It's just like a 1st round pick, especially with the talent and the depth of the running back this season. If it was like a 1-back class and you're like, okay, we need this, cherry on top and we don't have options after Genty, that's fine. You got options on options. And right now, Eric, if you gave me, let me ask you this. Top 2 running backs, Genty and Hampton. Consensus top 2 guys at this point. If I gave you the option of who is going to be the best singular running back in this class looking back 10 years from now, would you take Genty and Hampton or the field? Because honestly, I would take everybody's like, Hampton, Genty, you got to take 20. I mean, it's kind of not to some Broncos fans. You guys are smart. You're here in the morning, whatever, but it feels like we're kind of shiny object. Before it was Joker, or now we don't have the Joker, shiny objects running back. You don't have to take, it's not Genty or Hampton or bust round 1 because the field, like you just said, I agree with you. If I was taking those 2 versus the 30 to 35 running backs going to be drafted after them, I'm probably taking the field as far as who ends up being the best just because of probability.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Jordan Reed put out a tweet yesterday saying that he has like 35 running backs with grades in like the top 200 or something like that. And which is just an outrageous number. And the highest number of running backs drafted is 30. I think we break that this year personally. And I think it's not going to be like, 31 or 32. I would not be surprised if we get closer to 40 on it. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I would take the field on it. It's the shiny object obviously is GMT, and then Hampton is right there behind him, who I'm a little bit lower on. But Genty isn't this perfect prospect that he's being made out to be. And I think a lot of people seem to forget that. And one of the big things that you need to look at with him is you need to go and put on that Penn State tape. How many, like, not necessarily NFL caliber, but close to those type of defenses did he play? Not many, and Penn State was one of them. They had a very talented defense, and they kind of punished him a little bit. And that was his worst game of the season by far. Fumbles were an issue, and he has got a lower than ideal fumble rate. It's 1 every 69 touches that he's fumbled. So there's a lot of concerns with him. There's concerns with Hampton, and I mean, obviously there's concerns with every single person. But when you talk about trading up or forcing the pick at 20 because it's such an obvious need, I push back that it's such an obvious need. I think it very much is a need, but I also think that there is some belief internally in Julian McLaughlin, Audric Estime, and even Marvin Mims kind of taking that pass catcher out of the backfield role. I think there's some belief in that to where they don't have to force the pick for it. I do think that they'll take a running back, if not two, somewhere in the draft. And as for trading up with it, I would be fine. I would not be okay with it round 1. I'd be timid on it in round 2. Round 3 is when I start getting fine with it. Round 4, I absolutely love it. Like, the farther we're back in the draft of moving up for running back, the better it gets. There's plenty of options for it, and yeah, it's hard not to take the field over those two, just because of how we've seen success for early round running backs and compared to running backs later on.
Yeah, absolutely. We got Jake in here. Glad to have you live, Jake, as well. Appreciate you. I saw we got Jason Bonney in the house. Quentin Caldwell, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Appreciate you. Our guy Michael Ronquillo says, good morning, Nick and Eric on Broncos for breakfast. Go Bo Broncos. Michael's always coming in with the super chat, so appreciate you. Cly asking the Bengals going to pay Hendrickson. I don't know what's going to happen with that after they paid Higgins and everybody, but talented player, but he's on the wrong side at 30, I think, or just like approaching that. So we'll see. Victor Rios, good morning, guys. Great to see you, Victor. Dom says, don't reach for any back. Yeah, I don't think necessarily. Genty's not a reach at 20 to me. Hampton, I would understand the value there. I think Henderson and Judkins would be a reach at 20. I don't know if either of them make it to 51. So, like, if they love one of those guys, Eric, and they want to move up, let's say pick 51 and a future 3 to move up 10 spots in the second round to go get their running back. I don't love giving up top 100 picks, but I get it for the window they're in this class. So we'll see. William comes in and says, morning country. I think we had a decent free agency. Number 1 pick. We'll take a running back or maybe a different position. Running back, offensive weapon, defensive lineman. One of those two. I think you can make an argument for linebacker or maybe, center as well as a really big dark horse, but a defensive line, pass rush / offensive weapon. That gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positions, 6 positions that are definitely viable for the Broncos at pick 20.
Yeah, and I would still add a safety to it, although it's definitely below the rest. And the simple reason for that is when you go back and watch the defense over the last couple of years, Vance Joseph has flirted with a lot of dime looks. He just hasn't had that third safety really to really delve into it. Now with Hufanga and Brandon Jones as the starting safeties, adding a guy like Malachi Stark specifically, that really can change that dynamic and see more dime looks for it. And then you also add in the fact of Brandon Jones, Denver can get out of his deal after this year. He only signed a 3-year deal, so he's got 2 years max left. Hufanga's only signed a 3-year deal, and you can get out of his after. It's basically a set of 1-year option deals, kind of, with the way it's structured. And he's got health issues, so I would still say that safety is an option, but I definitely would say offensive weapon, defensive line, and then safety after that.
Yeah, I'm interested. I do wonder if the dime stuff is kind of brought by how much they didn't like their linebacker room, right? Out of necessity. I don't know if they wanted to do that after prior to Singleton going down, how much they obviously hated the linebacker room there, but we'll see. Rob Bucksbaum says, good morning, Nick and Eric. Any realistic prospects you feel warrant any trade to 15 if they fall? Genty, McMillan, Will Johnson. Gosh, if Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter fall to 15, then I'm interested. But right now, with where Denver's at, and that's not happening unless they commit a felony or there's a bad injury or something, which I don't think so. But none of those guys I'd be super interested in trading at 15. Maybe Teteroa McMillan, maybe Ashton Genty. I like maybe Tyler Warren, Colson Loveland. I just think that you sit there at 20 and take the talent, if anything. Denver's had so few top 100 picks. I think you got to fill out this roster, especially with how expensive a bunch of these guys are going to get. And I know Denver's aggressive for Bo Nix right now, but this Bo Nix window is the next 3 to 4 years. And the guys you're drafting right now are important and a part of that 3 to 4 year window. So I'm a little trepidatious to move up in the first round at all for a non-quarterback, but especially with where the board stacks for Denver this season.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's the thing of if a blue collar falls, then obviously you got to consider it. But outside of that, I wouldn't, just because I'm kind of what George Payton said about 10 to 20, 25 being similarly ranked or graded. That's where it comes out to me. My number 10th guy isn't that much more graded than my number 35th guy, actually, expanding that out a little bit. So I would not be at all for trading up. Now, if there was like, again, if one of those top 10 guys obviously falls a little bit, then you start considering a little bit more, depending on what position it plays. Obviously, if it's one of those offensive linemen, probably not. If it's a certain defensive lineman, I would consider it. Offensive weapon, of course. So it's definitely one of those things that it obviously depends on how the board falls, but with how I expect the board to fall, which, hey, expectation doesn't always happen, I would not be for it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some underdogs position to check out, but we also do love an underdog here at Mile High Huddle.
Yeah, so this basketball season, when your favorite star scores a bucket, we're going to give you an alley-oop opportunity to win money from watching sports with Underdog. Underdog is one of the leading sports apps, and you can play now in your state. Do you want to win up to 1,000 times your money? You can with Underdog.
To play, choose whether a player will go higher or lower on one of their stats, such as points, assists, rebounds, and more. Underdog's got all your favorite leagues, teams, and stars to choose from. Create entries with all your basketball picks or mix and match across other sports. You can play with as little as $1, and if you get everything right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. So turn $1 into $1,000 just with your hoops knowledge.
So download the Underdog app and sign up now using promo code MHUDDLE to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun when you sign up with promo code MHUDDLE. Claim your special offer today and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly upon your first deposit.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncbgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. So appreciate everybody following Underdog, of course. Make sure you guys check them out and use our code MHUDDLE. Like we said there, thanks, Rob, for the super chat. Troy also, $1.99, says, any chance Barron or Johnson fall to 20? I think there's a chance that either of them fall to 20. Right now, I think I put this out there on Twitter. We talked about it too, Eric, privately. There's 6 players right now I would put in pen, barring a felony or something that won't fall to 20, and that is Cam Ward. I'm blanking.
Hunter.
Help me out here. Yeah, Hunter, of course. Carter. There we go. Yep. Graham, and then the 2 offensive linemen in Campbell and Membu. Those are the 6 that I would say will not fall to Denver no matter what. Now you also have your very unlikelies at this point, I would say, and Warren, Genty, and probably Shamar Stewart maybe in that range too. But after that,
Loveland, Grant.
Loveland. Yeah. So we'll see. But there's a chance both these guys fall. And my question for you, Eric, before we move into our full first round mock, is which one of these guys goes first?
I think Will Johnson will go first, depending on the injury. That's always throws a wrench in everything, is because we don't have that access to the medical data that they got at the combine. We don't know how well it is. Typically, you get some rumblings coming out of it, and then you have to try to sort out how true it is. There's been almost none of that this year about some of these guys who are dealing with injuries that medicals at the combine were so important for. Will Johnson being one of them. So it's tough, because if teams came back with red flags on his medicals, obviously he's a guy who's going to fall a little bit, and that opens the door for Barron to move up. But without that, I think it's a pretty easy thing of Will Johnson goes first of those 2.
Yeah. We got AC coming in here, said I'd give up a 4th and a 6th rounder to move up for Genty. He's worth it. My question for you, and that's, I get it. I'd be fine with that as well, although I think you got a chance to get a valuable player there with that 4th round pick, or maybe trade for a veteran with that 6th. My question is, how much does 24th and 6th move you up, Eric? 2 spots? 3 spots? Teams are not really interested in non-top 100 picks.
Yeah, especially that early. I mean, I'd be surprised if it gets you more than 3 spots, and I think that would be pushing it a little bit. I think it's more likely to get you just 1. You're just moving up 1 to block out another team from moving up for a guy.
Yeah. And at that point, is the guy even you're interested in falling that far? That's not enough to get you up. I think maybe 18, like maybe 18, but I don't know. That's I'm with you, but I don't think that it takes two to tango, and I don't think that's really going to move the needle for a lot of teams. So now we're on the clock. Eric, I'm going to ask you, would you like odds or evens?
I'll take odds.
Odds. So you're on the clock here with the Titans. Let's make it snappy. I'll run this. So I'm going to let you also kind of look at the chat here since I can't have both open. But we're going to start the draft. You're on the clock. Who are we taking?
Carter to the Titans.
You're taking Carter to the Titans. All right. Interesting. I think that right now with where the Titans have gone, this pick is going to end up being Cam Ward for the Titans. But if it's not for the Titans, it's going to be for the Giants with them trading down.
Well, the Titans general manager has made it very, very clear that their moves in free agency are not dictating what they do with the draft. So there's been so much coming out about the Titans and Carter and them not being overly sold on the quarterbacks in this class, going another veteran route and another year of compete with Will Levis potentially for another year. But I could also see them being willing to move up for a Shedeur Sanders later or Jackson Dart.
Interesting. Well, we'll do no trades in this one because we don't got time. But I'm going to go Travis Hunter then with the Browns. Colorado, obviously, cornerback, wide receiver. I think you could play wide receiver the Browns. I think that's the inkling there. They could use a quarterback as well. I wouldn't be shocked at all if it was Cam Ward here. He seems to be far and away the number one quarterback with quarterback 2 and 3 closer together and debatable by team. But I'll go Travis Hunter here, and the Giants are probably dancing with joy with how this fell.
Yeah, the Giants take Cam Ward here, and with Travis Hunter too to the Browns, they could still play him at corner. Their corners last year were often injured, and when they were on the field, it wasn't great. So he definitely fills that two-way role player that filling two positions that they really could use.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm on the clock here with the Patriots. I'm going to take Armand Membu here. They need offensive line. They'd love a wide receiver here, but I just don't think that with where the winds are blowing, there's a good enough wide receiver. So they're just going to take Membu. I've debated Campbell as well, but with his short arms, Membu testing like an absolute freak. I think he's the higher ceiling player. So I'll go with him there. And you're on the clock now with the Jags at 5.
Yeah, the gentleman on the Jags just recently made a comment about how defensive line, Mason Graham here. They've been linked to Mason Graham for a month now, and there are some people on the Jaguars beat that refer to this as one of the worst kept secrets in the draft.
Yeah. So I think that Campbell is also in play there, but so far I think I feel pretty confident in this top 5. It could be Campbell there at 4, but if not, we'll see. I'm on the clock here with the Raiders. I've heard different things there. They could go Tedero and McMillan. They need another weapon to pair with Bowers. They could go with Campbell to further fill out that offensive line, but I'm going to go with Genty here. I think their offensive line is pretty good. And also they made a move for Geno Smith, who's older. Pete Carroll's the oldest coach in the NFL. They're trying to win as quickly as possible. And running back 4-year window lines up there. So I'm going to go with Genty here to the Raiders. And with Genty going off the board there, Denver trading up, all that talk, not happening. So appreciate it. We got Ernie. Sorry, we're doing a full first-round mock, so it's not just the Broncos, but we're going to see what happens as the board falls for Denver here. So it does matter for the Broncos, of course. And I see we got Chad in the background. Good to see you, Chad. I know he's not always the morning person, so we appreciate you running things. You're on the clock now. Things start to get more hard and interesting here with the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Jets is another one that you kind of look at, and they can go a few different ways, but there's one player that they've been linked with to it, and that's Tyler Warren. They've been linked with Tyler Warren consistently throughout. Really fits the mold of what Aaron Glenn is supposedly looking for in types of players, not necessarily, the exact role, but, he's got the right attitude, got all that. And then just real quick with Ashton Genty, I think that's a good pick, but there's a lot of guys on the Raiders beat that are saying that it's not a running back at 6. So something to just keep in mind as we move forward.
Could be Will Campbell, could be Membu, could be Tet McMillan. We'll see. But in this one, I'm going to go with Genty. And obviously, we'll look back in this in 6 weeks and be like, wow, we got so much wrong. But that's mock drafts, right? A lot of fun all the same. So I'm on the clock here with the Panthers now. I'm really not sure what the Panthers are going to do, Eric. It seems like they've been very defensive heavy, but they could also go with a weapon as well. I'm going to go with the freak on this one, somebody that I would love for Denver, but I don't think he's going to fall to them. I know his average draft position is not this high, but I'm going to call my shot. Shamar Stewart there with the Panthers. Could be Jalen Walker as well. Jihad Campbell has been linked with them, but I think just another pass rusher with incredible size and explosiveness. We go with the upside here. Top 10 profile. If Travon Walker can go 1, Shamar Stewart can go 8.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk of Shamar Stewart being in that 8 to I don't know, like 15 range. And I think that this is his high point, and he definitely fits the mold of what the Panthers have been doing. As for the Saints are one of the teams that I'm unsure of what way they're going to go. They can go just about any single way that they can, but there's been a lot of, they're going to go a quarterback, whether it's trading down and taking Dart later or seeing Sanders fall here. I don't like Sanders this early, but I'm going to give them Shedeur Sanders here.
Wow. Okay, Shedeur Sanders to the this is one that I'm a little surprised by, but interesting all the same. We're on the clock now with the Bears. Goodness gracious, what do the Bears do here, Eric? They need edge. They could go defensive line as well. I know they were in the market for running back. I got to ask you, is there any wins out there for Hampton this high? A lot of people have compared Hampton to David Montgomery. We know that you got Ben Johnson over there. I know that some people have talked, they have DeAndre Swift there. Ben Johnson would have blasted DeAndre Swift to the moon from the Detroit Lions. So because he's already there, I'm so shocked that he's still under contract. I know they gave him a stupid deal. But right now I'm thinking it's probably going to be, could it be Mykel Williams this high? You got Dennis Allen, who loves those big, lengthy edge rushers. I think I'm talking myself into Mykel Williams. I think they'd have loved to gone Genty, but he's gone. So I'm going to go with Williams here.
Edge has been the talk for the Bears for a long time. It was offensive line for a while, and then they made those 2 trades to add veteran offensive linemen. They made a couple of additions in free agency there. I think it's edge here, and I think Mykel Williams is the one that makes the most sense for that body type, role player type, body type and role type that their defensive coordinator is looking for.
So now the 49ers on the clock with you, Eric. They're in very much a teardown phase right now. They've lost a lot of offensive line. They've lost a lot of defensive line. I could see them go any way in the trenches, personally.
Yeah, Robert Saleh, he is a very much inside-out builder of the defense. Kenneth Grant. I think this is another one that seems like a terribly kept secret.
Yeah. All right, well, Cowboys now, I think they're going to do what they do. This team, as terrible as they are in free agency and waiting to the last minute to sign their own guys, they draft pretty well. And I think that they're going to take advantage of the board here. Will Campbell, they just lost Zach Martin for the year. He's going to be a guard. He's going to be a tackle. I don't know. Draft good players. I think 12, this is a floor for him. So he's gone. And we'll see what happens there for them. But now you're on the clock with the Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, Jerry Jones, he's probably one of the people who values offensive line the most in the NFL. So I think Will Campbell's there. I think it's an easy pick. Dolphins are a team that they can go different ways. They definitely need help on the defensive side of the ball. They could use help on the offensive line. I think that they're going to do something to help out Tua. Colson Loveland. He adds that type at tight end that they like to have for that very explosive offense. And Colson Loveland for the Dolphins seems like that's not necessarily the way they're going or a terribly kept secret, but it seems like a fit that is just being made often.
All right. Well, the board's kind of fallen here. Interestingly, I've Tedero McMullen fallen here, Jahdae Barron, Malachi Starks, Jihad Campbell still available. I'm on the Colts now. I know they just signed Bynum. I know they signed Chardavius Ward as well, but this secondary has been atrocious. And with the tight ends flying off the board here for them and the offensive line kind of drying up a little bit as well, I'm going to have them go with Jahdae Barron. I think Anarinmo, defensive coordinator, can do a lot of different fun things with them. I know he does a lot of fun games. So having somebody who can blitz, tackle, be moved around like Barron with this high of floor as he had makes a lot of sense for the Colts.
Yeah, I mean, that's the guy that I would have gone there as well for them. And then that answers the question of who we would go first with, Barron or Johnson, because this is where I think Johnson goes.
All right, so you got Johnson coming here to the Falcons. So they did pay Mike Hughes a 3-year contract, cornerback who played boundary last season for them, but by no means would he keep them from going with somebody like that. So now I'm on the board with the Cardinals. This is an interesting spot here for the Cardinals. I think they'd have loved defensive line, pass rusher, anything like that as well. But God, am I crazy for thinking Teteroa McMillan here? I know they just took Marvin Harrison, but they don't really have a number 2. I think McMillan can play slot or Z for them and give them a different option. I think he's a little bit more of a downfield ball winner than Harrison as well. So even though they're both big wide receivers, I think they're different. Am I wild for that, or do I need to force a defensive line pick here?
I mean, I could see them doing it. They lack offensive playmakers outside of Marvin Harrison Jr. It's a good pick. It's not the way I would go. I think that with the head coach that they have, with how he's like pieces, I would be considering Jihad Campbell here. Especially, with David Collins, they moved him down to edge full time, and the general manager there in Arizona. Everybody talks about Vance Joseph in his time loving those hybrids on defense. Well, part of that's the general manager there too, and Jihad Campbell can kind of be that hybrid with his ability to play off the edge. But go ahead and go McMillan. I think it's a very smart pick here if they want to get their money's worth out of Kyler Murray.
I'm actually going to go with somebody here. Okay, you talked me into it. I'm also looking at their depth chart in linebacker, and it's Mac Wilson or Akeem Davis Gaither. They need linebacker. Who's going to come off the board first between Jalen Walker and Jihad Campbell?
I think Jihad Campbell.
Okay. All right. Well, I will go with Jihad Campbell here. I know the Buccaneers are probably heartbroken, but that's okay. And you got the Bengals now on the clock.
Yeah, the injury to Walker and teams not getting an idea of if he can be that linebacker, if he's an edge, not getting that because he's not going to be able to work out. That I think is going to see Walker fall a little bit. The Bengals here, they're a tough one because where are they spending their money? It's tough. They're losing Trey Hendrickson. I would love to go Mike Green here, but he doesn't fit that mold that they like of their defensive ends. There is a pass rusher that does fit that mold, and I would be surprised if he goes this early, but I just am not sure where else the Bengals will go. They're trying to get Trey Hendrickson back, but even outside of him, their edge room is weak. Izaraku, the edge out of Boston College, I think is where I would go here. He fits that body type and mold that they love. Now, the question is are they going to be changing that because they fired the defensive coordinator and they have the new guy in? Is that mold going to change? That I'm not sure. I don't know enough about the new defensive coordinator.
On the clock here now with the Seahawks, I'm just going to go with the layup pick here. I'm going to take Gray Zabel, 18 overall. I think they'd have loved the tight end as well, but they brought in Cup. They have Sam Darnold now. Sam Darnold's really bad with pressure, and I think Zabel's ability to play any of the interior spots should really raise the floor of that unit. An offensive line that just needs help so badly.
Yeah, and here with the Buccaneers, this is where I would have my Green.
Mike Green?
Yeah, Mike Green.
All right, and we can do this one collectively, chat. So here we are with the Broncos. They could go a number of directions. I think the obvious pick here for me is Teteroa McMillan. I do think defensive line, Nolan, Harmon are also potentially interesting, but McMillan's ability to play X slot or Z helps a lot. And this team, I know that people want a running back. We could go Hampton here as well. But with how the wide receivers got paid, with what Cortland Sutton's about to get paid, I know they keep tossing out there that they're really happy with their young wide receivers. Well, they kept tossing out last year too, through the grapevine, that they really liked JJ McCarthy, and that didn't end up being the case. So I think wide receiver is possible. Emeka Egbuka is also interesting, but if Tet's there, I think that's the way I go. And we got Broncos fans saying no way he's there. He fell on this one. I don't know. Maybe we're stupid. Then it's no way he's there. I will say that we have a lot of people in the NFL draft industry coming out of the combine that have Tet McMillan fall into this range. You had Mel Kiper. No way he's there. Mel Kiper, having him fall into 22. Kyle Krabs, 33rd team, done this for a number of years, does good work, had him fall into 23. And you had Daniel Jeremiah having Tet McMillan falling to 19. So he's in play. And he was actually in my last mock because he is his range seems to be halfway through the first round to pick 22 range right now.
I think we got to do it for Ronk. He said earlier that he is his guy. We should do it for Ronk, and Tet there for me is also the easy pick.
Yeah, I was considering Nolan there. I think Harmon's a dark horse. His stock is rising as well. Golden's starting to get mocked to Denver a lot more. Jalen Walker still on the board too. He would have interested me as well. I mean, again, A+ character guy. But that's how we'll go with Tet this one. Denver needs some weapons, and I think Tet can play the Michael Thomas role very easily for this team and give you some multiplicity on offense.
Yeah. And now with the Steelers at 21, there's a running back out of UNC that they've been linked to. They're kind of missing running back. They wouldn't added another receiver in DK Metcalf. They're vying for Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson, waiting on that decision to be made. Whatever that is, Steelers football, what is it? Run the ball and play defense. So Hampton there.
All right, that's a good pick. Now we're on the clock here with the Chargers. They're probably a little bit bummed seeing Hampton and McMillan come off the board there, but I think they'll be happy just to take a defensive lineman here. That's just kind of the Jim Harbaugh DNA. I'm going to go with Derek Harmon on this one. I think that he's B+ across the board. He doesn't do anything like exceptionally, but his versatility, his size, his length, his movement skills, all great. And we got Clayton Huron says, smash that like button and share, guys. Yeah, let us know what you guys are thinking of the chat. Also, Aaron's got a question for our mock here. Says, is Ted a better player than Omarion Hampton? Better fit? Genuine question. He might not necessarily be a better player than Hampton, but did you just see what T. Higgins got paid? I mean, did you see what Najee Harris got? I think Hampton's a good player, but Tet's like the only X that I love in this class. Versatile. You're getting an incredible ROI as far as what the open market is comparatively. And you can still find the difference between the running back you can find day 2 in this class compared to wide receiver is large. I think Ted McMillan is in play at 4 overall. He just falls to the Broncos here at 20, and he seems to be a viable option. With how Broncos have attacked free agency, it gives you the ability to go with a value position like that in somebody like Ted.
Yeah, and Jordan Reed just tweeted out today is like, take running backs, edges, or wide receivers, running backs, or wide receivers, edges, and offensive tackles early because of what they're getting paid.
They don't hit the open market.
Yeah, the positional value is just so astronomically higher for Tet. And also, I do think Tet is a much better player than Hampton, but that is also, I'm very much on record of not being as high on Hampton as, the consensus is.
Do you like Judkins better than Hampton?
Not by much.
Okay, but that's kind of
they're I believe they're right by each other in my rankings, with Judkins just higher, or he might be just lower. I can't remember exactly.
I definitely I think it was Saturday on Twitter, Sire Bettinger was posting out there's a 3-back class, and I'm like, if you give me plus money, I would take Judkins being drafted before Henderson, and that means plus money means I'm going to get it better. If I put in $1, I'm going to make more. So, let's give me plus $200, $1, I get 2 back. I think that it's going to be flipped team to team. Henderson's foot injury, not everybody's going to be in the same, looking for the same back. And with how Judkins looked at Ole Miss, his size profile and how he tested, he's right there with Henderson. It's not a 3-back top 3. I think there's a chance Judkins goes before Henderson. So some people I really respect have Judkins rated higher than Hampton even. Again, we'll see what happens there. I'm on the clock here again with the Packers. Packers really need a lot of different things here for this
I'm
team.
on the clock with the Packers. I'm odds.
Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry because I just took Harmon. You're right. Packers.
Luther Burden.
Okay.
Or Emeka Egbuka. I'm not sure which. We'll go Luther Burden because that's who you clicked.
I clicked
but
it.
A wide receiver.
Yep. So now we're on the clock here with the Vikings. Vikings need a number of different things. They paid a lot for defensive line, but they're both older players. I'm going to go something a little spicy here. I'm going to go Jalen Walker, just because of how crazy Flores is with his either rush only 3 or engage 8 kind of stuff here. Having a player like Walker who they can utilize in a number of different spots and get after quarterback. I know they just took Dallas Turner last season, but he's more edge. I'm going to have Walker playing more of a Caden Ellis kind of role out here in this defense. I'm not sure if this is one that Vikings fans probably like, why would you do that? I haven't done much research on the Vikings, but I got to get the Walker stop to fall. And I just want to see what he'd look like with Flores. I think that would be so fun.
Yeah. And then here with the Texans, I think, Emeka Egbuka. I think this one's here. Reunite him with CJ Stroud, where he had a pretty good season with him. They need more receiving help. They definitely need to get more receiving help because that offensive line is abysmal. Got to get somebody who can help get open quickly and block. Who knows? Egbuka may have to play offensive line for the Texans this year. They're that bad. Egbuka.
Yeah, we're on the clock here with the Rams now. Rams could go a number of different directions. Well, I got Demarius Knight really high. It gets hard after the Broncos pick, right? I just thought like which direction could they go? I'm gonna go something a little different. I'm gonna go Trey Amos here. I feel like that's a team that they need a cornerback to kind of build the room around. They haven't had that guy. It's a young defense. They paid. They brought back Alaric Jackson. They brought in Devontae Adams. I'm leaning into the young defense here in a position of value. So Trey Amos, who a lot of people like. Before we keep going here, Troy comes in and said, "This is so enjoyable because you clearly respect each other's views while providing deep analysis." I don't know how deep it is right now because of how quickly we're having to move it, but I thank you so much, Troy, for the positive comment. And yeah, we do respect each other's opinion on football. Maybe, Eric, not with my Iowa Hawkeye fandom, but other than that, we're good there. So appreciate that, Troy, and also, gosh, appreciate the super chat so much. Eric on the clock here with the odds with the Baltimore Ravens, a team that could go a number of directions. I'm curious to see what you do.
Yeah, if Derek Harmon was here, I think that Derek Harmon is the easy pick, but I'm not sure they would be as high on Darius Alexander or Walter Nolan. There it is tough. They definitely don't need receiver. So I'm gonna go with somebody that they like those kind of versatile pieces around it. I'm gonna go probably Josh Simmons here. Ronnie Stanley has had issues staying healthy, and they're a team that likes to kind of look to the future a little bit. So I'd go Josh Simmons here. I'm not the most comfortable with that pick, but with who's left, that's value there. I could also see Malachi Starks and pairing him with Hamilton. Actually, let's go Starks. I mean, I think that the Ravens here, they probably just look at the best player available, and that's probably Starks for them. You are muted.
Sorry, I'm dealing with a cold, so I get myself muted so I can clear my throat and cough and blow my nose. So I'd rather be over muted than under muted for the sake of your guys' earbuds, but leaving a little bit to the imagination on that front. It's crazy, man. I just got over hand, foot, mouth, and then immediately get a cold after that. Luckily my son's finally getting over, but I'm at the round and third base on this one with all the drainage. So on the clock here with the Lions, Eric, I'm gonna call to the bullpen here a little bit. I just want some, phone a friend or whatever. I'm really interested in Nick Scourton here because they moved on from Zadarius Smith. They kind of like those bigger players all the same. But also the lifeblood of this team has been the offensive line. You got Mahogany there at right guard. Graham Glasgow, former Bronco, great also. But I think that's a position that you can still address there. So Kelvin Banks, stop slide here, or Nick Scourton. I think I'm going to lean Banks on this one right now.
I'd probably go Banks. I mean, I mentioned earlier about Jerry Jones loving offensive line. Well, as an owner, Campbell is probably one of the ones who values it the most as a head coach. Kevin Banks there is the easy pick, I would say.
And I think there's an easy pick here for the Commanders here, given they have an offensive line injuries and they're kind of a little bit thin on the offensive line all the same.
Yeah, Josh Simmons is the easy pick here for them. I mean, they made the trade for Laramie Tunsil. But their offensive line is still pretty messy all around, and Tunsil can be a questionable player at times.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're on the clock again here. Only a few more. The Bills really need defensive line help. I know they've made some moves there. I'm going to go with Walter Nolan. I know that maybe he's a little bit redundant to Ed Oliver, but you just need waves of pass rushers. You need, if you're not happy with 5 guys deep at defensive tackle and 4 guys deep at edge, it's on the table. And for a team like this, just keep stacking. Nolan's got the chance he really has the chance to be the best player in this draft. I mean, his athletic profile, especially as a pass rusher. So I'm going to go with him here and keep him away from Kansas City. So that's where I go. And I think they'd like a little bit more beef, but they'll have chances later, just getting some talent in here.
Yeah, now the Chiefs are on the clock, and can I go quarterback just because it's the Chiefs? Just hate the Chiefs. No, but I got to see who's left at offensive line.
You got Connerly.
I don't think that's the way that they would go here.
And Manowari is still available.
Manowari is still available.
They lost Reed.
Yeah, but they're two different types of safeties, really.
Yeah.
Oh, it's tough.
Elijah Rowe.
They lost a lot of pieces on that defensive line too. I think I'll go Alexander here. They don't mind the age of prospects, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They like them to be a little bit more have some extra maturity to it. And again, they lost Wharton, they lost Nadi. I mean, different type of a player than Alexander is. And Chris Jones, he's starting to age a little bit, although he's not showing any signs of slowing down. They can definitely use a counterpart for him on that defensive line. So Alexander, I think, isn't a bad pick there.
No, not at all. And on the clock here at 32, I'm going to be honest. I should have scrolled down a little bit more. We're trying to get the ball rolling because I don't want to be, here too long. I probably would have gone with Amanawari to the Bills because their safeties last year were horrific, and that would have put Nolan maybe to the Chiefs or here to 32, and I would have gone somewhere there. But we're going to stop Amanawari here for the Eagles. They moved on from C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and just too freaky of a talent now. Would Howie Roseman take a safety at pick 32? Because he's only taken out of 20 first-round picks, only gone with a non-premium position 3 times or something. I don't know if he would do that, but all the same, too freaky here for me. And we know that Vic Fangio also loves safeties, so we'll see what happens here. Here's our mock draft. Oops, this didn't play out in our books. Interesting. I don't know what's going on with that one, but there is our mock. Probably too small for you guys to see. I can save that and put it online as well. But we had the Broncos going with Tet McMillan. Fall into the Broncos there at pick 20. Denver has options. Hampton would have been viable. Burden would have been interesting. Harmon, of course. I mean, any of those next 5 picks, I would have been okay with the Broncos at 20, depending on how they fall. But they have interesting to me all the same. Any thoughts? And we got Chad in here as well saying super mock men. Great to see you, Chad. Thank you very much. Yeah, not just purely Broncos, but it is still Broncos centric, kind of getting the lay of the land first round as we currently see it.
I mean, when you do mocks like this, obviously I know there's picks that you disagreed with mine. Shadir Sanders being at 9 is one of them. And there were picks that you had that I was like, yeah, okay, I get your thinking, but it's probably not the way that I would have gone. Next time we do this, we definitely need to flip the order. You take odd, I'll take even, see how things go differently.
Or we could do AFC, NFC also, just the way to stack it up. Yep.
But I think for the most part, it turned out pretty well. Definitely need to save this and see how accurate we are on draft night. Obviously, not including trades is going to, hurt the accuracy of it a little bit. But I don't think we'll see a whole lot of trades. I think in talking with somebody, I think the over under on trades was given to me at 6.5, with a lot of people taking the under on it. So don't expect a lot of movement because the word is a lot of teams don't want to part with those day 2 picks this year.
I mean, I get it, especially in this class. What we have Schefter mentioned coming out of the combine, that teams view pick 10 to 35 pretty much all the same. So we unfortunately we don't have Jeremy in here to twist our arm or anything so we're not going to have time for that Denver Broncos centric mock. We'll do that Wednesday for sure. But hopefully you guys appreciated the little bit more holistic talk and lay of the land. And we had a number of different options for the Broncos available. And with the way T. Higgins and Jamar Chase just got paid, Denver not having an obvious number 2, but we're going to see about Marvin Mims' role. Also, that might change the formula. And Portland Sutton going to be older, contract, Lord knows. Getting another wide receiver option in here makes sense because it gives Bo a weapon immediately and helps you financially long-term with flexibility because wide receivers on the open market are silly right now, which is understandable. But I mean, I'm still shocked. Wide receiver is now the number 2 highest paid position in football. It's not pass rusher. I would still prioritize elite pass rushers over wide receivers. But that's where we're at in the current landscape of the NFL.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot going around about how Denver isn't viewing a wide receiver early, and I think that it would be silly for them to stick on that. I mean, they could have believed that in February. They could still believe that here as late as last week, but seeing what T. Higgins got, not so much Jamar Chase, what T. Higgins got as the highest paid number 2 receiver and getting paid higher than a lot of pass rushers. I think he got paid higher than all but one interior defensive lineman. Like seeing that should cause some quakes inside the Broncos front office of maybe we got to push wide receiver up a little bit more, get that cost control, especially with the fact of they can have faith in Devon Vele. They can have faith in Troy Franklin. We don't know what they're going to be. It's hard to bet on that. You don't know exactly where Marvin Mims is going to, settle down at. He's kind of found a role as a gadget player, but can he be more than that? And then, of course, there's the Courtland Sutton contract situation. There has been some reports that he's looking for 22 plus million, 23 plus. and Denver is a little bit hesitant to play him more than $20 million on an average per year basis. Will they come to terms on a new contract? There is so much ifs about the Broncos receiver room that alone should make wide receiver a higher priority. And then again, seeing what T. Higgins got paid as the second highest, as the highest paid number 2 wide receiver, higher than a lot of pass rushers, that definitely should be boosting it up as well.
The one thing I will say about this, we got Coach Chris, then we got to wrap it up. And he says, good morning, everyone. Sorry I'm late. Happy St. Patty's Day. I'm not wearing green. I'm glad you didn't pinch me, Eric. I said, keep your feet on the ground. Oh, that's true. It got a little bit on the, thank you. So I'm going to have to pinch you. But he says, keep reaching for the real. Oh, well, there you go. Okay. All right. Love the show. Love you, Coach Chris. Thank you so much for the super chat coming in and supporting us with everything here. And I know that also we had Michael Ronquillo in here with a super chat getting us out of here. I'm not sure exactly where it is, but he says Ted McMillan was our pick at 20. Thank you so much, Michael. Thanks, everybody. The one thing before we wrap it on up here with that, I saved it, Eric, just so we can come back to it later. Talking about the value of wide receiver. We had wide receivers tumble down the board here. We didn't have Matthew Golden selected in the mock as well. I think that's one that next time, if we do this again, we want to be, I think I'd want to make it a little bit more point to maybe even reach on wide receiver, given how bad the free agency class was and how just absolutely desperate there are for teams. And maybe that's something that teams are trying to trade up for at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's a position where at the very least you could make an argument for maybe Matthew Golden over Darius Alexander for the Chiefs, with how that receiver room is looking, and as well as how much they love speed. And he's a tall receiver with plenty of speed. I think you can make an argument for it with a few teams picking in the, the early to mid 20s as well. Can make a case for him for the Green Bay over Luther Burden. Yep. So he's definitely one, a Manowari. He's one that I would definitely like to keep an eye out for about moving up the board a little bit as well next time we do this. And definitely options to move down. Shedeur Sanders for one of my picks.
And we didn't have Jackson Dart go either. So a lot of things. We're going to see how it plays out, but we're going to have to wrap it up here, guys. Thanks, everybody, coming in here. Super chats. Michael Ronquillo, Rob Bucksbaum, Troy Boer a couple of times, Chad, Bossman, Coach Chris, of course, as well. You guys are killing it. I know that we're kind of in the post-free agency hangover, but we're ramping up here for the NFL draft. So Wednesday, we're going to do a Broncos-centric mock. We'll see if we'll do the Pro Football Focus Simulator or somebody else. And we'll have more information about this Broncos. Maybe we'll review the free agency crop as well, grade them like I saw Chad do. As well. So fun. The NFL landscape's changing. A lot of big deals since then as well. Maybe we'll have a Broncos deal to talk about as well. I'm on Zach Allen watch. That's the one that I really want to get done here, hopefully sooner than later. 25 million. Sure. Sign me up. That's great. Appreciate everyone. Make sure you're following Eric and I on Twitter. Eric's at Erick Trickell. I'm at Nick Kendell, MHH. Also follow us at Mile High Huddle. If you haven't done so yet, we're over at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle, as well as facebook.com/Mile High Huddle pod. And as that ticker shows there underneath, if you're joining us on YouTube, that's the number one way to listen to us. Click the thumbs up, like the show, Facebook, YouTube, wherever. But over on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to Mile High Huddle, like the show, share your social media platform out there. There's a lot of really good Broncos content creator, draft people as well. But I don't know. I'd like to think that we are at least in the conversation, upper echelon of Broncos draft considered content. How small can we get with that niche? But appreciate everyone. Eric, any final thoughts?
No, hope everybody has a wonderful start to their week and hope you have a wonderful St. Patty's Day. Enjoy that corned beef and cabbage that I absolutely cannot stand. And stay safe. If you're going out to celebrate tonight, don't drink and drive. Yeah,
absolutely. And hopefully when you guys see me again Tuesday night, Wednesday, my little less talking about green, a little less mucus in the airway. So appreciate everyone. Have a great one. Continue to choose kindness, compassion. Go Broncos.